There is no doubt that the NBA has given us some of the most amazing moments, not to mention performances. But what really makes the NBA exciting is the slowing down of the game, with it becoming more physical and the half-court game becoming more crucial. Everybody loves those close, competitive, and edge-of-the-seat moments, especially the ones which yield some iconic, last-minute, crucial moment shots. While the offseason can be a little drab, the playoffs have always found their way to deliver nonetheless. So here are some rather hard-to-believe NBA shots. Kobe Bryant's fadeaway against the Phoenix Suns in the 2010 Western Conference Finals, Game 6. Kobe Bryant, a lethal go-to scorer, has won 5 NBA championships with the Los Angeles Lakers before he made his return at the end of the 2015-16 season. Being with the Lakers for 20 years, he emerged as the next big player, closest to Michael Jordan, who retired for the second time in 1998. Bryant has no doubt had some great moments in multiple playoffs. However, the greatest of those moments came against the Phoenix Suns in Game 6 of the 2010 Western Conference Finals. With under a minute to go in the game, Bryant sealed the deal for the Lakers with his mind-boggling fadeaway against the Suns' small forward, Grant Hill. The Lakers then went on to play in the 2010 NBA Finals. In a moment of immense desperation, Hill seemed to be all over Bryant when the Suns were down 105-100 at home and were facing elimination. Bryant got the ball to the three-point line and nailed it all by himself, just like he did all those years ago. Although Hill gave everything he had to stop Bryant, he still was to fall short of Bryant's powerful and impactful shot. Allen Houston's series clincher against the Miami Heat in the 1999 Eastern Conference Quarterfinals, Game 5. Allen Houston is one of the better contemporary shooters of the ball. He came into the league from Tennessee and shot buckets from a distance, first for the Detroit Pistons and then for the New York Knicks. One could argue that he was one of the best players the Knicks ever had in the 90s to early 2000s. Although injuries set him off course for a while, his most noteworthy NBA moment came in Game 5 of the 1999 Eastern Conference Quarterfinals, where the Knicks faced off against the Miami Heat. Although the season was a little strike-shortened with Michael Jordan's second retirement, New York was in 8th place and took on the top-class Miami Heat in the decisive Game 5. However, Knicks coach Jeff Van Gundy drew up Houston to get him to open for a game-winning running jump shot. Houston made the jump and settled the score for his coach Van Gundy, with Gundy's former mentor, head coach Pat Riley of the Miami Heat. In the peak of the tension between the New York Knicks and the Miami Heat, the Knicks went on to win the Eastern Conference semifinals against the Indiana Pacers in 6 games before they fell short of victory against the San Antonio Spurs in the finals. Charles Barkley owns David Robinson in Game 6 of the 1993 Western Conference semifinals. Charles Barkley has no doubt been the best part of TNT's Inside the NBA. Before he became a superstar analyst, he might have been the best NBA player to have ever won a championship. His best shot, however, came in the 1992-93 season, which also happened to be his first year with the Phoenix Suns. Barkley even became the league's MVP of that season. Although the Suns were defeated by Jordan's team, the Chicago Bulls, Barkley would still have his day against Admiral David Robinson. Robinson was a star player for the San Antonio Spurs, who were good but not great during that time. In the 1993 Western Conference semifinals, Barkley was to dominate Robinson in order to secure victory for the Suns so that they can move on to the finals. Barkley was at the top of his game and went solo on Robinson, hitting the series-winning shot with 1.8 seconds left to go. And with this, the Suns went on to knock down a stupendous team in the finals, the Seattle Supersonics, in 7 games, but would eventually lose to the Bulls in 6. Barkley was not only good on the field, he was a notoriously good practice player as well. Although never really in shape for the game, he still could pull off just about anything all through his Hall of Fame basketball career with the Houston Rockets, the Philadelphia 76ers, and not to mention the Phoenix Suns. Damian Lillard's moment. Damian Lillard, who was drafted into the NBA in 2012, seems to have transformed quite drastically into one of the most promising point guards ever since. His athleticism and shooting are nonetheless quite explosive, and he has shared it with the likes of the Portland Trailblazers' LaMarcus Aldridge, Nick Batum, and not to mention Wesley Matthews. The Trailblazers were nevertheless a powerhouse of the NBA, who would take the league by storm. However, this didn't come at the cost of the budding Houston Rockets. In one such series, there was an outbreak between Aldridge and Lillard. The Houston Rockets were to push the Trailblazers to 6 games and were keen to extend it to 7 as well. That was until Damian Lillard took over. There was less than a second left to go in the game, but Lillard hit what seemed to be one of the most impossible shots to ever secure the Blazers a win. This clinched the Blazers their first victory in 14 years. The Rockets were understandably upset. However, Chandler Parsons did not seem to do anything to stop the shot, and that was what could have ended the Rockets' playoff hopes in an instant. Merry Christmas, Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving seemed to blow the chances for the Warriors in the finals. However, they responded by signing in Kevin Durant for the 2015 NBA championship and vowed to get their revenge on Irving. They eventually did, but not on Christmas of 2016, when Irving once again proved that the Warriors could indeed beat the heck out of the Cavaliers. Irving gave one for the Cavaliers yet again, but this time he needed a big shot to win. The Warriors, who had lost time and again to the Cavaliers, were bound to lose that time too, after a game winner that came from Irving. This came at the expense of Richard Jefferson fouling Kevin Durant during the last play of hope. The Cavaliers went on to stab the Warriors, and it happened on a Christmas day. Stephen Curry kills the Thunders. Stephen Curry is regarded as the best shooter that there ever was. There is no other NBA player that can compare to him when it comes to shooting from the three-point line. He's got a sort of magical range that is bound to decimate the defenses, especially at crunch time, and the Oklahoma City Thunder learned it the hard way. In a match against the Thunders in 2016, the Warriors were in a predicament, battling a difficult Thunder team that had both Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook on it. However, later in the game, Kevin Durant fouled out for the first time in his long career. This gave Curry the opportunity to bounce back, defeat the Thunders, and secure a win for the Warriors. That fateful match, Curry was to more than destroy the Thunders by defeating them in front of their home crowd. Although the Thunders put up a good fight, they were just no match for the Warriors, as they had a sharpshooter on their side. This seemed to kill the chances for the Thunders in the long run. But why was it so epic? Well, it's games like these that show people the level a point guard-driven team has to reach in order to get to him. Even today, the Thunders perceive Stephen Curry as a primary threat. This is because he took Kevin Durant away from the team that was first to draft him, and gave him his own something that the Thunders failed to give, and that was an NBA title. Jason Terry, a name worth mentioning for three-pointer scoring. In an NBA game, the more the number of three-pointers a player scores, the better are the chances of them making it to the Hall of Fame. And the history of the NBA has seen only two such players, namely Ray Allen and Reggie Miller. However, there is still one other name that is worth stating, and that is Jason Terry. Terry has just finished his 19th season in the game and has scored 2,282 trays, and not to mention over 100 threes in 14 seasons. Hakeem Olajuwon, the Dream. Hakeem Olajuwon, also known as the Dream, comes quite easily as the greatest post scorer of all time. He's able to hit that mid-range jump, keeping the defenders at bay. Averaging 21.8 points per game and shooting over 70% in his astonishing career, most centers find this hard to do. Jerry West, the Logo. Jerry West, also known as the Logo, is definitely one of the most iconic scorers the game has ever seen. Jerry West was the only person to ever win the finals on the losing side, averaging a whopping 27 points per game, not to mention shooting 47.4% from the field, owing to his 6 feet 2 inches height. Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq. Shaq has dominated the league for over 2 decades now, as the most physically imposing force to ever be seen. However, he did not seem to take his conditioning quite seriously, which would have made him the greatest center of all time. Nevertheless, Shaq averaged 23.7 points per game and shot 58.2% from the field, becoming the 21st all-time in points per game. He would have made it to the lists high if it had not been for his poor free throw shooting, and not to mention his lack of diversity in scoring. Klay Thompson. Although it's a little too early to include Thompson on this rather exhaustive list, he has played only 5 seasons up until now, in which he has scored 75 three-pointers already, and with 42% of them coming from the field. Also, he has sunk 276 trays this season. More sinks have come only from his rather historically prolific teammate, Dale Ellis. Before the three-point shooter came into fashion, there was Ellis, who was a sharpshooter and could shoot from beyond the arc. He played a 17-season career for 6 different teams, making 40.3% of his attempts and winning the 1989 three-point contest. Larry Bird. Although Larry Bird never took too many three-point shots, he nonetheless shot 37.2% from beyond the arc. However, he could have been more prolific if he wanted to, considering the fact that he had won the first 3 All-Star three-pointer contests from 1986 through 1988. LeBron James. LeBron James must keep playing the way he is in order to surpass the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to become the NBA all-time leader with regards to career points. It's quite incredible to note that people don't think of him as much of a scorer. However, he is known to have averaged 27.2 points per game so far, and not to mention, has shot 50.4% from the field. Although his free throw shooting stands at 74%, which isn't very outstanding, and his three-point shooting could be better, but now NBA defenses have to close in on him due to the fact that he has put on a tremendous amount of work into his jumper. The NBA keeps putting out players of tremendous quality and skills each year. However, not each and every one of them becomes the greatest or goes on to make it to the Hall of Fame. As we have seen, the ones mentioned here were some of the greatest that the game has ever seen, among which some have even had the privilege to make it to the Hall of Fame.